braise this in. I had to show one of my guys how to braise, so we figured I'd just show him how to braise. We usually weld, but on this, just a practice store, we just braised it in. This is what you need to start bodywork. Get your dent, get it kind of clean. Of course, a spatula. This is called a cheese grater. It's not one you get out of AutoZone. It's a real bodywork one. You can't really do bodywork without this. Bondo we're using is actually called plastic. We're using Dynamite. It actually works pretty good, and it's one of the most inexpensive ones. I'll show you how to mix it, spread it, and then cheese grate it. Quite simple. You just use old boxes. Scoop some out. You do it for a while, you get an idea how much you need. Most of it goes on the floor. You have your hardener comes in red or blue, doesn't really matter, it's your stuff. Just do this for a little bit and make sure that it's mixed together. And depending on the weather, depends on how much you want to put in. You'll get used to it after a while. You just got to make sure you mix it really well. Always scrape from the bottom, put back on the top. You don't want any streaks. And if it's real hot out, you got to do this kind of quick. You don't want to go too light on the hardener, and then it won't harden at all. You don't want it too quick. It gets too hard and it's hard to sand. Kind of like just making a cake. See those streaks? You don't want those in there. On boxes, sometimes it'll pull up the die, but that's okay. And just muck it on there. And we don't care. This is first coat. Get it on heavy, and I'll show you why it doesn't matter. You're not trying to get it really level on this coat. You're just trying to make sure you get everything filled in and go pretty far past where your dent was. Of course, we're going to use another coat, but I'll show you how quick this actually is with the right tools. And this tool's not that much, a couple bucks. You really can't do body work without it. It's really important. I'll put up the exact name of it. I have extra plastic here. I just scoop it on there. And go right to the edge. Now this is like a big mound. You're probably looking and going, oh crap, that's really high. It doesn't matter. Now if you were to try to sand this, it would take a long, long time. You waste a lot of sandpaper. And sandpaper is kind of important. You don't want to use the real cheapy stuff. Use either Norton or 3M. Norton Blue or 3M. Works well. I'm going to shut the camera. I need about 2 minutes for it to tack up a little bit. You don't want it hard, but you don't want it too soft. So I'm going to kill the camera for about a minute or two and then turn it back on. Okay, it's about there. You can kind of feel it. It's warm and a little rubbery. This is a crappy one you get from AutoZone. Do not use this. It's flat. It's got teeth that are too aggressive. And it's crap. Look what it does. That's not what you're supposed to do. This is a proper tool. And this is what you're going to do. Now, if it's too soft, you get near the edge, it'll pull back. This just gives you an idea. And you can see the motion that I'm doing. Now, if this was a longer panel, I'd go this way and this way. But you just go like this. I'm just holding it loose. I'm using it's a half moon. That's important. It's long enough to pull the dent right out. Now, if you're cheap, these scraps that are coming off, you could actually, if you're filling the dent, you really shouldn't fill the dent. You need to mix that in the plastic. But if you want to, you can. This is still a little on the soft side. And then we just keep going, keep going, keep going. There's nothing worse than having too much on there at the sanding part. When you're filling, you can put a lot on, doesn't matter. When you get to this, you want to try to keep the plastic as little as possible. See, right here you can start hitting metal, so you stop. You want to kind of stay away from that area, especially when it's not real hard. Now, if you let this get real hard, it's not going to come off this easy. It's just a matter of timing. Now, if I just take like 36 grit and try to sand this, I'd be here all day. I could use a air sander, but you know, for this amount of money. And that was pretty dented in where I showed Jose how to braze. So it wasn't, you know, it was a pretty deep dent still left. In other videos I'll talk about a unit spotter. If you don't have one, I'll show you how to make one if you even got a crappy make. That's what I do. Most everything we do is by hand. And now what I'll do is I'll let this dry a little more and then hit it. See, I hit a high spot, so we don't want to work that too high, but my plastic is still too thick. So I'll work it this way. Now that's just roughed in, so to give you an idea how quick. And just let it, what I'll do is I'll let it get really hard and just do a light one again, and then on another video I'll show you where we go from there. Thanks for watching. Okay, last video I was showing you how to fill a dent and grade it out with this instead of sanding it. Now, since that was put on thick and it wasn't pulled real tight, you can see it has pinholes in it. This is actually pretty close to smooth, but we're going to put a skim coat on. We're not going to, we're going to use the plastic again, Bondo, and just pull a real tight coat, and then, because it's pretty level. Usually you should be able to fix the dent by the second hit. You should be able to get it done. Now, I'm going to put this on real tight. Of course, we'll go across the whole panel, let it tack, and I'll hit this very lightly with this to break the skim coat, and then we sand from there. And then I'll show you another product real quick. Once again, you get an idea after a while how much hardener to put. Remember, mix it good, no streaks. Try to always pull from the bottom. What happens if you leave the streaks in wherever the hardener didn't get, or the hardener is, it'll be soft. I put, as you can see the color difference, I put more hardener in this time because I'm going on a thinner coat. The thicker the coat, the more heat it generates, and it dries quick, faster. So if you go thin, you can go a little more, but you don't want to go too much hardener. See, like this, you can never put that on there. So we won't. Okay. So we're going to go a tight coat. So you got a little red in there, just make sure you mix it. You're going all the way. This is a small panel, so go right to the edge. Now I'm crisscrossing to make sure I get in all the pinholes. There's other products that we have that you can get those out. And I'll show you that in a minute. I don't have the product I really like, which is a shark one. I actually can't remember the name, but it has a shark on it. I use another product, and I'm not too happy with it. I don't think it sands as well, but okay. I got leftovers, so I just do this, and that way I clean my spreader without having to use thinner. Now hold on a second, I'll show you another product. Now, this is a glaze finish. It's very liquidy. what you would do is you'll sand this with 40 and then 80 and then probably 120. Just when I say that, it sounds like a lot, but we're only talking a couple minutes. And then we fill in any of the heavy scratches or pinholes that are left. And you could sand this out with actually up to about 400. When I have a picture, remember the name of the other product, I'll tell you, which I like a lot better. But they're all kind of the same. This one's just real thin. But I'll show you this when we get to that stage. See, and this one's already tacked, but it's not hard enough. When you're doing after the first initial one, you want it a little harder because you don't want to put deep grooves in it that you have to sand back out. But that's it for right now. Alright, it's starting to get dark. I just graded this a little bit. I had to chase one of the rescue dogs. Decides to dig out all the time, so I'm losing light. So I'll do this quickly. Norton Blue, stick it, and sanding block. This is 80. This actually ran out of 40. You can use 36, 40, doesn't matter. I usually like to stick it because I get 3 sheets from one. If I'm using on a short, I've used a long board. But if you break it down. Now this is probably dried, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. And this is just 80 instead of 40. If I had the 40, I'd probably hit it with 40 first. Now if you're not real sure about your body work, you could spray some black on this. I don't recommend lacquer for anything other than maybe a guide. It's called a guide coat, and it'll show you the highs and lows. So if you're not real sure, you can put a guide coat on it and block it. I'll show you that when we're priming something. But you can do that on your body work also. You could use a spray can if you want. Just make sure it dries good, and then it'll show you the high and low spots. I'm trying to get it so I could just put that putty on and show you how that putty is. In the next video, I think I have a Fiat over there. I'll put a Dent in and show you how to make a unispotter. If you don't want to buy one, just to do one car. So I know a lot of guys want to do their cars themselves and they don't want to spend a lot of money. And you don't have to. There's a lot of good products out there. I use polyurethane Emron. But there's some companies out there, I'll put on a post who they are, that have polyurethane paint. In Florida, we really need tough stuff because the sun deteriorates paint pretty quick. I don't know, in the video you could see I'm starting to hit that slight high spot again. So I'll back off that one particular area. And it's still okay. And if I keep going, what will happen is the plastic is softer than the metal, of course, and it'll dig and make a spot. So as soon as you see that, you want to stop. As soon as you start hitting the metal. And watch your edges. You don't want your plastic falling off the edge too much. Now I'm just trying to do this quick just to show you the next product. This is just a door I'm using for demonstrating. Now it's pretty level. Now I'll show you the next product real quick. Same idea. Let me get it. Same kind of thing. Just kind of always massage it to make sure that it's mixed well. Now this stuff is really thin. So we just do a skim coat with this because I'm going over 80. But if I was doing a card, probably finish that in 120 to 220 before I did this. But you could do it this way. Same idea. No streaks. Mix it. You can see how much more liquid this is, and it's vacuum. It's done under a vacuum, so there's no air pockets. If there's any air pockets, you put them in yourself. streaks. Now this spreader is kind of used and abused, so you can see it's leaving kind of little marks in there, but for this it's okay. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the products and how to use them. Try to help some of the guys out. I posted a video and a lot of guys were asking me how to do it, and I figured the best way is to show a video. Now this stuff takes a lot longer to dry, believe it or not. So I probably not going to make it today on showing you the sanding of this, or in this video anyway. I say let it dry real good, and I'll probably hit that with 220, and it'll be pretty smooth. That's level. But when I get the priming, I could show you a guide coat, and we'll do that on I got a Fiat. I'll put a dent in and show you how to make a unispotter and do the whole process again, and you get an idea. I hope that helps, guys. If you have any questions, send me an email or give me a holler. Okay, guys. This, as you remember from the last video, I'll just go back over. We plastic this up, graded it out with this, sanded it real quick with some 80 grit on a block, and then we put the glaze on top of that. So we're trying to get out any of the deeper marks left. I skipped the 36 grit on this panel because I didn't actually, I'm out of it right now, believe it or not, or 40 grit. I probably would have just used 40. But the 80 worked fine. So now we put this on. I'm going to try to kill two birds with one stone here. This is when I was talking about a guide coat. This is what I'm using, this flat vinyl, and I'll show you how you do a guide coat. If it was actually paint, I probably wouldn't use the vinyl. We just use a black lacquer. But you know, use whatever you have. And I'll just show you real quick. This just can give you an idea of the high and low spots, how a guide coat works. So we put this on. We need it to dry kind of quick for the demonstration. So I'll just wipe it. And I'm going to just hit it real quick with 80 so you can see. And I'll give you an idea. Now real quick, you can see a high and a low spot. Now if you can imagine if there was actually still a dent left in there, it'll mark where it is. And you should use a guide coat through the whole process, especially if you don't have a lot of experience. So you want to always use a guide coat, because a lot of times you can't feel. You know, if you don't have a lot of experience, you can't, guys won't be able to feel. Now there's a cheating way. If you have a rag and you actually put your hand in the rag, you could actually feel the dents easier. You go like this with a rag. But you can see here what the guide coat is doing. So you don't even have to feel it. You can just see it with your eye. Here's a low spot, here's a low. And as I sand it, you just sand till it comes out. Get more down, you can get an idea where the low spots are. See, here's a little mark left in there, and the black shows it up. I could barely even feel that, but the black actually shows me that it's there. So basically, you're just sanding until you get those marks out, as long as you're not hitting metal again. Remember, this panel is just for demonstration purposes. And that gives you an idea. Now, I just hit that with 80 real quick to show you. But if, let's say I was going with a finer grit, excuse me, I wouldn't pull my 80 off the block. Well, let's say I had something else on there. I just put it over it. to save paper that way. And then, now what you would do is re-guide coat this again. Now you can see where the blue filled in and where the other plastic from before is. And that gives you an idea on the guide coat and the finish of the glaze putty. Now what you can do is you clean up the edges and then prime it and guide coat it and block it each time with finer and finer. Try to always use the guide coat because it'll show you your spots and you won't miss anything. And blend it out far. I'll show you on another panel. This one's to the edge, so it's a lot easier. But on another panel I'll show you how to blend it out so that you'd have to use a longer block, longer hand block. So hope that helps a little bit, guys. If you have any questions or comments or anything, just give me a holler or send me an email. Thanks.